Hi, I'm Captain Crop, a clinical psychology resident at Joint Base San Antonio, Lackland. Before we get started, make sure to check out the introduction video, which will give you more information about this series. Before we go any further, I'd like to make it clear that the views expressed are those of the author and the presenter and do not reflect the official views or policy of the Department of Defense or its components. Today, I'm going to invite you and your partner to have a conversation with me about the 5 love languages. In a moment, I'll ask that you pause the audio so that you and your partner can spend 3 to 5 minutes discussing what you may already know about the 5 love languages or what you're hoping to learn as part of this series. You can pause the audio now. In 1992, Dr. Gary Chapman wrote what is now a very famous book called The 5 Love Languages: How to Express Heartfelt Commitment to Your Mate. And in that book, he discussed a central thesis that included that people give and receive love in different ways. He identified 5 different ways that people can receive or give love that he referred to as love languages. These 5 languages are 1. Words of affirmation, 2. Quality time, 3. Giving gifts, 4. Acts of service, and 5. Physical touch. In the different components of this series, we'll spend time briefly discussing each of these 5 languages and hopefully give you and your partner some space to discuss how you and your partner can improve your knowledge about the love languages and how you give and receive love from one another. Let's talk about words of affirmation. Have you noticed that hearing the phrase, "I love you," or compliments, or other meaningful words and phrases make you feel loved and cared for above all else? Or maybe you've noticed that verbal insults cut especially deep and are detrimental to your relationship. If so, these may be indicators that words of affirmation are a strong love language for you. I invite you to take 3 to 5 minutes now to talk this over with your partner. Do you think that words of affirmation is a good way to give or receive love in your relationship? What are some examples of times when you or your partner have used words of affirmation to make the other person feel cared for? Or you may determine that words of affirmation is not a love language that is substantial in your relationship. The second love language is quality time. Do you value full and undivided attention from your partner above all else? Or maybe you're the type of person that just craves one-on-one time. A lot of times this may look like turning off the TV or putting your cell phones away so that you can eliminate distractions that keep you from focusing on your partner. If these things are important to you, quality time is likely an important love language for you. Take a moment now and ask your partner why or why not quality time may be a love language for them. If your partner determines that quality of time is an important love language for them, schedule a time in the near future to spend one-on-one time with your partner and try to eliminate as many distractions as possible. The third love language is receiving gifts. The type of person that enjoys receiving gifts above all else probably enjoys this type of love language because they're thinking about the thought, intention, and effort that went into the gift giving. Gifts don't always have to be expensive, but it is important that if your partner receives love in this language, that you find ways to show them that you are intentional and thoughtful in the way that you are doing your gifts. Take a moment with your partner to think back to a time when you or your partner received a gift from the other person. What was meaningful about that gift? How might this type of love language be important for your relationship moving forward? I'll never forget the time that my partner came home and broke down in tears of happiness because I had swept the floors and emptied the dishwasher. At first, it startled me because I thought something was wrong. After months of giving her flowers and other gifts, this was the biggest response I'd ever gotten. And this was the moment that I realized that my partner's love language was acts of service. Discuss with your partner any similar experiences that you may have had with one another. How do acts of service play into your relationship, and what's something each of you can do within the next week to show love to one another in this way? The fifth love language is physical touch. It's important to note that physical touch does not just mean sex. It could be other forms of intimacy as well, to include cuddling or holding hands, or even just sitting near one another. Take a few minutes to discuss this topic with your partner. What are some indicators that this love language may be important to one or both of you? Discuss ways that you can openly communicate about this love language and how to maximize physical touch that's something that's meaningful in your relationship. Congratulations on learning more about the five love languages. I hope that you've spent this time learning about yourself and maybe more importantly, learning more about how your partner gives and receives love. To complete them with your partner in the near